I went 3 weeks to the MTC here in Provo, and then they flew me out to Guatemala MTC, and I was there for about 6 weeks, and it was awesome. It was a blast. It's small, very small, but so you get to know everyone pretty much, and there's a smaller group of, I say gringos, so if I say gringos, it's just a habit, but that, North Americans, and a smaller group and a lot more Latinos, and they all spoke Spanish, and obviously we spoke nothing of Spanish, so it was always fun interacting with them, and it was so great, because some of them spoke English, some of them didn't, but I have funny stories of just people getting confused, and just getting along with them, and we didn't even speak the same language, but we felt the same spirit, we were united, and we had fun together. It was really cool. The food there was awesome. That was, the thing here at the Provo MTC is you get unlimited food, you can just keep going and eating, and it's good food. But there it's like this amazing quality Latin food. You only get one plate, but it fills you up, and it was the best. Every day it was something new, and they fed us really well. And we got every day for lunch and dinner we could have some ice cream. They have, down in Central America, they have these different types of ice cream bars and sandwiches and different things, and so we figured out which ones were the really good ones, and we always would be eating ice cream, and you definitely gained weight there. But they had like a little, the entire MTC was surrounded by, fence with barbed wire. I'm pretty sure it was in a very busy part of Guatemala City, but right next, like down the street, was the temple, Guatemala City Temple, and so that was awesome. We got to go to the temple every once in a while, and it was really beautiful. But we had a little cancha, which is a court, like a basketball court or football, with cement, and football, I mean soccer. I hope you don't mind my Spanglish. But we played soccer and basketball all the time, and it was a lot of fun. The Latins joined in with basketball, we joined in with soccer, and I remember one of the things I noticed when I was in Guatemala, and this was a funny thing about just their culture that's a little different than ours, I guess, or some things they do. I had never heard more honking in my entire life. I heard more honks from cars in the first 6 weeks, my 6 weeks there at the MTC, than I'd ever heard in my life in Oregon. So they loved the horn. They loved to honk that horn, and it was a very busy street right outside, so there was a lot of it. And we always talked about that. It was a lot of fun. During the entire night, you could hear the honking, and so it was that was really funny. But we got visited quite often by some of the 70s, like the area 70s that are there. So that was really cool. Every week we had someone come and visit us. And awesome teachers, because it was the teachers there for the gringos had to be able to speak English and Spanish to help us. And so they were really good. Usually I'd served in an English speaking mission or something, but they were really good about helping us learn Spanish, and being in that atmosphere where everything around us was Spanish helped a lot, and getting a basic understanding for Spanish. I remember one teacher, I don't remember his name, but I'll never forget it. And this was something I never forgot. I just asked him one time for a piece of advice, and he said, just believe, just always believe, no matter what, just always believe. And later on in my mission, I read a scripture in the Bible where Christ he says, don't fear, only believe. And it was very good advice, because there are moments where you sometimes you have doubts, or that in yourself, in other people, or you're afraid. And that was honestly that's not one of my favorite scriptures, because fear is the opposite of faith, and it helped me a lot to just keep going, and just hang on to my testimony that I had and share it with others. And I saw a lot of miracles because of that. So that was something that was really cool. But yeah, Guatemala MTC was a lot of fun. I remember when I first came out of the airport, we flew, we landed, and none of us had any idea what we were doing. We didn't speak Spanish. And so I was the first one out with my bags. I walked out, and there's a ton of people outside. There's a barricade, but there's a ton of people wanting to sell things. And did not expect that. It was kind of just, I was taking it all in. It was kind of crazy. And then no one was there for us, so I didn't know what to do. And then all the other missionaries started coming out. And finally, this bus, the yellow school bus, shows up, and this lady comes out and says, "Get on the bus." And so we start getting on the bus. We weren't even sure if it was really for us, but we just did it. And first thing I saw pulling out of the airport was this big old police truck with a guy with a gun and the shotgun in the back, just driving around. And I was like, "Wow, I am in Guatemala now." It's really crazy. Guatemala is awesome. In the city, my mission was Quetzaltenango, so it was out in the western parts. It's the mountain mission. It was an awesome mission. But in the city, there are parts that are dangerous. You have to be a little more careful because there's some crime. Mostly what they do is they'll just rob you. And so I've heard of things like that, but it was a funny experience seeing that guy with the shotgun in the back. I was just like, well, I've never seen that before in my life. But there's always, outside businesses, there are always guys with a gun. There's a security business there, and so there's always security with guns just in case, because there's a lot of robberies and whatnot. So that was something I learned. Actually, during my time in the MTC, we went out one day to go contacting, and we were partnered up with someone that spoke Spanish, a Latin. And so I was with a Latin companion that didn't speak English very much at all, and I didn't speak any Spanish. And we were walking around, and I remember this guy, it was a security guy with a gun, but I didn't really know. But he was running at us, and he said, "Hey, hey," and he's running at us, and I turned around, I wanted to run, because I didn't know what to, I'd never expected that, but he was doing this with his hand. He's like, "Hey, hey," and he's running at us. And I was like, "What?" And I thought he was saying like, "Go, go," because that's what it looked like to me. But my Latin companion was calm, just turned around, and he finally came up to us, and all he wanted was a Book of Mormon. He was this guy with a gun running at us, and he wanted a Book of Mormon. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, And I was scared. But when he did this, I didn't know what it meant, and I finally learned later that when they say "come here," instead of doing this, because to them it's a little rude, it's a little more rude to do this with your finger, they do this with their hands. And so I always do that now because I got used to it. So whenever I say, "Hey, come here," I'll do that. But I never knew that. I thought he was saying, "Go away." I was like ready to go, but my companion stayed, so I stayed. And sure enough, all he wanted was a Book of Mormon, and that was pretty funny. I liked that experience a lot.